All right, we are here with an AGB OG, Jake Balliu, JB himself. We are so excited to dive through. We got a fun show ahead, but Jake, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us tonight. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you guys having me.
We got to get that out of the way right now. I mean, who really gets to claim the JB title? Like the OG AGB legend. You guys, man, between the two of you, it's hard to pick. I know JB, Coach JB, you are the original, man. And then when Jake Balliu came on, man, it was just, for me, right off the jump, I'm just gonna go right there. What I love about you two, so Justin Bergeron, Coach JB, meet you in middle school, right? And you were the kid who worked extremely hard, and we built our games together, right? That story has been chronicled. But when Jake Balliu came on, he was already nice. You know what I mean? Like other programs already had him. He was a little guy everybody knew. Like if you can get him, you can get others. And so I felt like so privileged that he chose our program and came on board. But he just come on like, you're lucky to have me, Coach. He came on with the same energy that you brought to the program, and that's why I love both of you guys very much.
Absolutely, man. I'll say just top off the jump too, like, every father, wants to see his son grow up and do better than him. And
That's big, bro. That's big, bro.
I can say is, looking back, man, and statistically speaking, all that's Winona, man. JB has been nothing but just elevating the JB brand, and I've been honored, to come before you. But man, you've had an awesome career, and I can't wait, to get through it. But Rick, you said it from the jump there. JB also came through this AGB family. So for those of you that are listening and don't know Jake, quick intro about who you are, and then kind of take us back into those early AGB days of being a young athlete that kind of started, the journey to ultimately where you're at today down in Gainesville.
Definitely. So like they said, played 3-sport athlete at Lakes Community High School, football, basketball, and track, 12-sport athlete. Grinded that out, was granted the opportunity to play college sports, ended up playing at Winona State Division II football program with Big Bro JB. Had the opportunity to do that for a lot of years due to injuries and everything like that. Had the opportunity.
How many years was it again? For
6.5.
6.5. That's impeccable.
Hey, 2 degrees published. We worked for it. It was all, everyone, God's plan. It all kind of worked out. Had the opportunity to have a pro day with the Vikings. Didn't work out. Wanted to go into college athletics. The real world's a tough place out there. Kept grinding, applying for jobs, see if something happened professional with football. Didn't work out. Got lucky enough where my special teams coordinator from Winona State got a job at Long Island University out in New York. So lucky enough, he brought me along with his family, lived out there for about 18 months, worked in athletic operations and director of equipment for about 38 sports program, Division I sports teams out there, which led me to where I'm at now at the University of Florida with the football program, and I'm an equipment assistant here. But kind of bringing it back full circle, back to those high school days. So obviously in the off seasons, in the summers, you're always grinding football, working out, training. And I had the opportunity to play AGB with Rick, one of the OG teams. Man, I was the smallest kid on the court, youngest kid on the court. We had one team. We had one varsity team with JB, Andrew, all those guys out there. And I just remember playing those tournaments. We had the reversible jerseys back in the day when we were just starting up the program, getting in some gym time. And we've gone way back ever since. I mean, over 10 years now, which is incredible. And we still got that great relationship between both of us, or all three of us. So.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So, I mean, talk about those reversible jerseys, man. I remember vividly like those tournaments. And one thing that always kind of shined through with Coach Rick, no matter whether you're at practice or the games, like you were going to get some philosophy right within the day. So through those early AGB days and, taking into high school, what is like some of your favorite moments of AGB that you kind of took with you as you went into, Lakes?
I would just say, Rick taught me a different part of the game than what I was used to. AGB is more of, AAU ball is more of work on yourself, but also work with guys you don't usually work with. So you're able to see the game a different way. You're able to, whether the ball's in your hand or you're watching other players on the court. And I think that's kind of the greatest experience you got from that. whether you're on the court or even on the bench, just because you're watching different people play different styles of ball and kind of see how their minds think, that what you could incorporate into your world, as well as, you know, obviously a new coach brings new philosophies and new work and new skills that you get to incorporate into your game that you can bring back into, you know, your high school game when that season starts. So I think that was kind of the coolest part, was just being around different players, different skill sets from different areas, and just kind of, you know, being that sponge and absorbing all that you can to get your craft to bring what you could bring to the table during high school season.
I got a follow-up question to that. I think it's going to be good for young people who are listening to us now. You guys were really close, right? You went to the same school, you were friends. And so, and then you also had good training. Like, we had a good program, so we all got better. But like, sometimes these athletes are having to choose. And sometimes they're choosing to stick with their friends, even at the expense of like having a good experience. So like, what would be your best advice to somebody who's like, man, I want to hoop with my buddies, but at the same time, like, I get a better, like, this might be the better program. How should they pick? Should they pick by the program, or should they pick by their players?
I guess in my personal opinion, at the end of the day, it's you and what you want for your future and where you see yourself and your goals. I mean, at a young age, how I was raised, the people I was around, being the smaller guy, like, I had goals that I wanted to achieve, and somehow, some way, I was going to do that. And that's the biggest thing that my father put into me, was somehow, some way. And it stuck with me to this day, to my professional career, to someone asked me to do something work related, home related, family related, that I was going to find a way. So I think at the end of the day, you put yourself first, and what's the best position for yourself, for your future to be successful. Because at the end of the day, you don't have control of your friend's life. I mean, you don't have the decisions or the choices that your friends make. I mean, everyone's life's different. So I think the best way to go about it is what's going to benefit you the most in the end. Because at the end, it's your life, and you take control of what your life and your decisions is going to get you to ultimately where you want to be.
No doubt.
100%. So 12-sport athlete in Lakes. Ultimately, so same journey where you started, you know, basketball heavy, you know, out playing AAU basketball, but ultimately chose to go the football route. Do you remember what year you decided to, you know, make that switch, or was it kind of it just happened late in the game for you, or when did you decide to, you know, focus in or choose football ultimately?
I would say ultimately it kind of came down to senior year. Kind of after that, fall season was kind of my big season in high school, you know, my statistically and everything like that, and recruiting wise. So it kind of fell that way in that spring semester. I mean, I had a great official visit at Winona State. That doesn't need to be talked about, but it was a good time, great coaches, great people. And, it, you know, it definitely was, you know, it felt like home. And that's kind of what took the cake for me, where, you know, from the educational side as well as the athletic side, that it was the best for me. And I thought for my future, which ultimately it all worked out in the end, as I was there for, you know, half a decade. So
that Van Wilder playing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Have you been back to Lake since?
I try to go back every time I can. I come home during the holidays. It just kind of depends with the scheduling for work. When I was in college, working college athletics, I always worked all of our basketball tournaments and such, being home. And then I think about a year or two, I think it's since I've been back. I always keep in touch with, you know, Kurt Rowles, Ellerman, and Snyder here and there as well, which is former coaches, just always keeping that relationship. As well as my siblings all graduated from there. So it's nice to go back and work out when I was training for football and everything like that, which is cool. So I'm trying to get back this year, depending on scheduling with football and if we make a bowl game down here in Florida, but it's something I've always wanted to do and catch a game. I always check their basketball schedule every winter to see if it times up in that small window that I'm able to get home. So we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
You know, we had a good conversation last week in our live sessions that we do with the AGB coaching clients. And one thing that came up was someone said, you know, the thing that you love isn't always the thing that you're best at. And I was like, that's a really good point. So my question to both of you guys is, as when you're making that decision to choose football over basketball, which one was it? Was it the one that you loved the most, or was it the one that you were the best at? Because you know, I'm asking you selfishly because I hated losing both of you guys to football, because you guys were both one of those guys that I felt like you loved basketball. I mean, it was never a chore to be in the gym, and no matter how many hours we were going to put in, you guys were ready to go 100.
Yeah, I mean that one's easy for me. I 100% loved basketball. It still is my favorite sport. But football provided the best opportunity, so that's ultimately why I chose football.
I think of both for me to answer your question, Rick. I just think kind of like what JB said. Ultimately, it was just the best situation for me. But I also think at that time that was my better sport and best sport at the time, and the way that my craft was and the best potential, I guess you could say, for me succeeding down the road. And that's why I think I took that road way back when.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think a lot of athletes are facing that decision now, and I think that's our encouragement to all of them, right? Is to like, it's not the same for every athlete. You know, everybody's got to kind of feel it out for themselves and make the best decision. But ultimately, I think if you're going to play college sports, whatever that sport is, I think you got to love it. I think your heart's got to be in it because it's tough.
I mean, college sports isn't for everybody. So if you don't love it and you're dedicated to put that time in, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. with, nutrition, athletic training, weightlifting, practice, school, meetings, film, like you got to love it. If you don't love it, then why do it? It's like, why are we here today? You guys love what you're doing and what you're providing, and you take that with you later in life. I mean, I love football. I love college athletics. That's why we do what we do. We're passionate about it. It's what drives us every day.
That's right.
And those out there, like, looking for scholarships to those high schoolers that are, I remember Luke Burns, Coach Burns at Lakes would always tell me, it's like, JB, it's a numbers game. Do you know how many more scholarships per football team versus basketball team are given? And so that was something too that kind of, always stuck with me is, you're shooting a shot in a bigger pool. But if you're good and you love it, like you said, it doesn't matter which path you choose. You got to be wanting to do those 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. days regardless. All right. So we were just at Lakes on Saturday. And we were with Coach Schneider himself. It was a bit awesome because it was actually the team's first practice. And so we got to kick off with them. We got to do an awesome, exercise with them, and then got to watch them do their first practice. And man, I don't know, for me, that basketball at Lakes is where I think I found myself as an athlete. And ultimately, like, I think, discovered like my confidence within sports. And so, just looking back on your time at Lakes basketball, I gotta say, like, it's cool seeing not only on track, like you walk in, I don't know if you saw it, Rick, but like Jake's name is everywhere. Like, talk about like, proud big brother moment of like, he paved that, better path, and is like, it's so cool being back in that alma mater. Wow. What from basketball specifically like stuck out to you during your time at Lakes?
I think the biggest thing was just, the energy that we brought every day in practice. Like you said, you're around your buddies and stuff like that. But we knew, we always had a chip on our shoulder, as well as, practicing with the sophomores, being on varsity and being able to, get with the young bucks and also push them harder to a new level, because those are the people that you might be playing with, or the people that, you'll come back and visit as well as just the coaching styles with Snyder. And the assistants that we had and what they kind of brought to the table, and that fire that they, push you to be the best that you could be every day.
Love that. So I was
going to ask how much beef, I don't say beef, but like, I know at my high school, sometimes there was tension between the hoopers and the football players. Just a little bit. Like, what was that like at Lakes? You guys get along good? Was it like one group was tighter than
for the most part, I would say we got along good, because I would say about 3/4 of our team was football. To be honest with you, I think a lot of us were multi-sport athletes across at least those two sports, so we didn't have a lot of beef. It was just we were always together all the time, so we always had that connection and those relationships. So we were just out there having fun. At the end of the day, it was fantastic. So I wouldn't say there was any beef. There's always a couple kids here and there that didn't play football, but I would say overall, I would say not much beef. We're good.
Yeah. Same thing in my class. And I remember too, like, obviously basketball, they just kicked off first practice Saturday, football playoffs are still going on. And so that was always like the goal, is to like, miss those first few weeks of practice and just show up for the holiday tournament. Right. So
100%.
Absolutely. So, okay, one of the things that Coach Center did and still doing, it's in the top right corner. I have a bigger one. We'll just blow it up here. It's the hustle stats. It's the hustle stats. About it. So it started out, 5 straight years of
that.
JB, right? And 1 year, you know, it was 182. I had as the highest one, and then you have 181.
That one hurt.
I mean, okay, first, yeah, there might be some numbers, you know, 1 point difference. That's pretty wild. I will just say there might be an asterisk next to it. But like, I don't know about you, but for me, like the hustle stats was something that I took a lot of pride in, and it not only like I felt like I embodied what it was, but it carried into other areas of my life. And I'm curious if like, you know, the hustle stat like mindset, what did that mean to you, and you know, has that carried with you throughout your career?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was something that I wanted, to be honest with you. I mean, I've always been an underdog in my life, trying to push myself to strive, like we kind of talked about earlier, having those goals, you know, somehow, some way you were gonna get the job done. I mean, I was smaller than everyone, so I had to fight for, you know, playing time and to be the best that I could be. And I loved being scrappy. I loved getting in people's head. I loved, you know, I loved the game atmosphere and always doing that. So the ball was on the ground, the ball was in the air, it was mine. Like I didn't have a choice. I'll run you over at, you know, how small I was back in high school. It didn't matter. I'll dive on the floor, I'll dive in the stands. It was just that, you know, like you said, that mindset and the attitude that you had. I literally have a Mamba mentality poster in my office right here with me. That's something that I still every day strive to push myself to be 1% better. That 1 point does bug me to this day. You know, a little bit of beef there, and stuff like that. The second, my senior year, rolled an ankle, so I was out a few weeks. So that's why numbers are a little low before you'll start judging me real quick. I know, a little, minor setback for a major comeback there. But no, something that I definitely thrived on and tried to, echo that lifestyle or that play style through everybody. And I think you could attest to that, you bring the energy, you bring, you dive for a ball, the crowd gets louder, your boys start getting hyped, you start playing faster. The game slows down, in my opinion, for everybody, where it's like, okay, hey, yeah, it's a fast tempo game, but we're all locked in now. Like tensions are high, but we bring the energy, we bring the juice. We know it's, one possession, one stop, one score. And that was something that I always loved because it always just got everyone more hyped. You get a steal, you dive on the floor, you rip a rebound from somebody. I just loved it, like you said, and that's where we're very similar and stuff like that. And yeah.
We gotta get Coach Snyder on or you guys can help us now. Like help our coaches out there. Cause I've seen, top 10 rebounding lists. I've seen top 10 points scored lists, assist lists. I think that's the first time I've ever gone to a school and seen in their Hall of Fame a list of hustle stats. So what went into hustle stats? Like what did you have to get one? And was this a Snyder idea or does this predate even him?
So I believe that he was introduced to it, but he brought it and started at Lakes. It was something that his first year of varsity he established. And I remember when he bought the plaque for it and everything, I was like, "There's no way that's," because it was like just my name in the top corner. I was like, "There's no way that's going to be like a real thing." And like, it's like you said, it's in the wall, like it's on the wall, like it is not like tucked away in a little basketball corner, like it's probably like in the main hallway. And so like, what it is though is. He has basically a spreadsheet of stats that are statistics that aren't your traditional stats that you keep. So it's the floor dives, attempting a charge, taking a charge, I believe is 2. That's the only one that's more. But then like tips is 1.
Floor dives.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
it's the stats that don't show up on the stat sheet that make making a forced turnover is another one. And I can attest to, like, both of us, obviously you just heard like the energy that it gave us and our teammates. Like I brought this to Chaska girls basketball, last year, and they loved it. Same thing. Like, it makes those little moments, just it gamifies it and it gives you something to focus on because every player on that court can get a hustle stat. That's a cool thing. You don't have to be the best scorer, the best rebounder, but you can be the highest hustle stat receiver with your effort. So
it changes the momentum of the game. Like you said, anyone on the court, all eyes are on you on the court. There's only 10 of you out there. Everyone's watching the ball. Why not be the one to go dive on the floor, make the play that changes, one play can change a game.
So if you're a coach and you're listening to this, I encourage you guys to like add this to what you're doing, because it's one thing, all of us, anyone who's in the coaching craft, you're encouraging kids to hustle. I know you're telling them about the intangible pieces, but are you giving them something tangible to go after where they can have their name remembered? And if you're an athlete, like, man, like I hope you guys are inspired by these guys, because their name is immortalized now at a school for like forever. Like, even if someone gets 183, I mean, they're not taking your name down. I mean, your name is going there forever. You know, and I think that's what we're all doing, man. I think if we're all honest, when we're playing our game in our 14, 15, 16, 18, 21, we want to be remembered. You know, I don't want to play and then be forgotten after I'm done. So shout out to you guys. I know in an AG, we didn't keep that kind of stat in AGB, but you guys are immortalized there as well, and in Lake. So talk to me about Winona. What was that experience like?
It was an adventure. Like I said, I was there for 6.5 years due to injury, from tearing my knee, rupturing my spleen, tearing my foot. Definitely had some hiccups along the way. Still got the 4 years of eligibility through, so we're good there. Had a really great career there. Was very successful. Got surrounded by a lot of great people that helped me get me to where I am today from an academic and athletic standpoint, that I still talk to daily, weekly, monthly, checking in on me, checking in on them, which I think, I owe Winona everything. To get me to where I am, just set me up, Lake set me up to get me there. And Winona really was the cherry on, top of the cake there, where it helped me get me to where I want to be and helped me to be successful to where I'm at now, which is awesome.
I guess I have a selfish question for both of you guys, just to help me out as a college AD, right? So I'm a college athletic director, and we have a football team at our program. And no, it's not D2, it's not D1, but it's college athletics. And so we have engaged players. We have people that understand what it takes to be a student athlete, right? They're doing what they got to do. They're in the class, they're listening, then they're going to practice. Then we got those that we cannot get to engage. Like, they want to come just play football. They're not engaging in the community. They're not listening in class. And I know as an athlete, the only thing to really hold with them is playing time, right? But oftentimes if a guy's ineligible, you can't even hold that over him anymore. So what did Winona do? What have you guys seen done successfully to engage the disengaged? Like, how do I get those guys that don't understand how to be a scholar athlete? Like, what do I do to motivate them?
You just got to help make it click. As hard as it is to say, you got to get more guys involved with them, whether it's, tutoring, counselors, get guys that are in their classes. Odds are teammates are in those classes. You're just kind of dragging them along. Like, we got to figure this out. Just kind of getting all the support staff that they can get behind them and trying to just kind of make that click, because life's bigger than football, but you can't play football if you don't have A, B, and C done. And that's kind of the biggest thing, that you got to break it down where, you got to see the light at the end of the tunnel to get to the end of the tunnel. And that's how you kind of have to go. That's how I see how you have to go after it.
Did they create an environment for you where it was like, bro, you're going to do it or we're going to move on without you? Or was it more like an environment like, hey, we're not moving on without you. Come with us. Like, we'll do whatever it takes to get you to move with us?
I think a little bit of both. I think Justin can probably attest for that. Just kind of depended kind of how far away you were down that process, I guess, of whether you bought in, and all that process. But we had study table hours, we had counselors, we had free tutoring at school. So, we had all the access and all the tools that you need to be successful. Mm-hmm. It was, it comes to a point where it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. And that's, as much as it's tough it is to say, that's life. And you can only do so much for someone. And it was just, getting everyone around them to help put it in their head, help them to get to buy in was the hardest part.
Facts.
Absolutely. And I think it's in surrounding yourself with a staff that, follows that same message. And I think, Coach Sawyer did a great job with that. And he's ultimately, I think, one of the best community, coaches that I've ever witnessed. And then how his staff, how's accountable. The defensive staff too, Coach Barnes sticks out to me so much about getting you to see the bigger picture and just getting you to care, and how lucky we are with this opportunity, and maximize your time here, but you're going to do it and be disciplined and be respectful. So I think it's you know, kind of a combo of having good staff, a strong leader. And, you know, obviously I know a little bit about you, Judson, like Dempsey. I think he's a great leader. You got that piece. And now, like, you know, building on top of it, of like surrounding him with a strong staff that helps that message. Because I know they're hearing it from you, and then like getting them plugged into those resources. Because I think it's getting people to understand it's that next step, right? After, like, you're here, how do you use this for what's next? And, you know, your playing days are limited and numbered. And so use them while you got them.
Love it.
Yeah. So, okay. In Winona, I know this is when I kind of first faced the reality of this. And we talk about this a lot at AGB with our athletes, but nutrition, Jake. So Rick, you know, to this day will still fight me on some things in nutrition, but, you know, we're getting him there. You know, AGB's got an ebook coming out. Shout out that. Stay tuned. Ooh. But nutrition, being an athlete, right, for your performance. When did that kind of click for you? Because I know you are a healthy guy, so I just kind of get to it. But like, how has nutrition kind of played into your athletic career throughout your career?
Definitely. So I think it didn't really click for me probably until about my sophomore, junior year of college, when I kind of saw more of a transformation in the weight room with everything kind of going on, and, you know, being hurt. I think my sophomore year really was when it clicked for me, my redshirt freshman year, because I couldn't really work out as much as I wanted to. And then once that was done, the season was over. So that's, you know, that winter is when you really get after the weights and all that stuff. So that's kind of when I really focused in and got closer with our training staff. And I kind of realized, like, you know, I'm still a small guy, but now it's time to, like, we got to bulk up. We got to get bigger, faster, stronger, do anything, you know, and everything that I can, whether it's, you know, ice cream before bed, protein shakes before bed, put on some weight, you know, I was eating 4 to 5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day in between classes, like doing everything that I possibly could to put on weight, to be, you know, big enough to be able to, you know, handle myself in the football field. So that was kind of the biggest moment for me. It was probably around sophomore, junior year when I really clicked that I need to eat healthier, you know, not eat fast food, like actually sit down, make food, learn how to cook was the biggest thing. I didn't really know how to cook coming into college. And I think that was the biggest thing, was coming from my college. Shout out to my college roommates throughout the years, because they're the ones that really taught me how to cook to a point and kind of excel me in that stage of where I'm at now. And I think that was something that really took off for me, and we all kind of got to that level and maturity where we realized that we need to eat the right way to be able to perform well on the field as well. And that's stuck with me to this day. I mean, I eat the healthiest I've eaten in my life right now. That's led me through college and post-college as well.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Something's not adding up, because I remember, like, it's like so vivid to me, Jake. I remember we were at the Canlin complex, right? We had like a bunch of games. And so we had like a 3-hour break in between games. So we went to that burger joint. Like, it was like a restaurant right around the corner, where your dad was there and like everybody was there. And I remember it was order after order. It was like chicken fingers, cheeseburger. And it got to you and you ordered a salad. And I was like, this dude, like, that was the first time I knew you was different. I was like, you're the only one there. So like, that was what you were a sophomore in high school, and I could tell you cared. And I felt bad. Like, I'm like, I'm the coach, and I didn't say anything to anybody. And you were telling your players, like, man, y'all can't eat like that, you know?
And that was more of, you know, just kind of how I was taught, where it was like, hey, you got games, like, you don't want to have the, you know, that burger that's, you know, that rock in your stomach 3 hours from now. So it was kind of, you know, playing sports, you know, tournament and stuff like that obviously dictated, like, you know, you can sneak a candy bar in or a little Mountain Dew to get a little sugar in your system. But I mean, predominantly I ate well in high school. Just didn't really cook all that well, you know, living at home. But once I got to college, it's kind of really when I buckled down, sat down, you know, my nutrition, and everything like that. And I mean, I've taken what I've learned in college to this day, and I think I'm in the best shape and nutritionally and everything else that I've ever been in my life right now, to be honest with you.
So the other thing we have to clear up before we move on is, you keep telling everybody how small you were, but I think they're getting like a picture, like, bro, Like one of my favorite things about coaching, man, you would always catch these big dudes off guard. Like they think you were small and you jump higher than everybody. You be ripping rebounds down from people. Like you
Coach, I can still get a dunk down. I can still get a dunk down right now.
I believe it.
I'll show you the
paint
film.
this like little guy picture, like you was just out there getting bullied. Nah, you was out there picking on people.
Hey, I had fun with it. Come on now. I had to let them know.
Absolutely. And so you alluded to this a little bit, but like when you got to Winona too, like I know a lot of people, it's like to get to college, you made it. Like that was never your goal, and it was clear, you know, since day one when you came on campus, and you know, establishing yourself in the wide receiver room, like that room was deep, right? Every college wide receiver room, like there's a lot of bodies in there, and usually only 3-4 receivers on the field at a time maximum, right? So talk to me about getting on the field as a receiver, but then also I know I talked about this, utilizing special teams. And like yours, like obviously you did more than utilize special team. You made a career out of it. So talk to us about like getting on the field and using any avenue possible.
Definitely. So I think just the biggest thing coming in, you know, as a freshman, all you're trying to do is get on the field. You know, like I said, I keep saying this over again, somehow, some way. That was my mindset going into high school, trying to get a scholarship, going into college, and you made it to college. Okay, hey, check mark. Next step, get in the field, you know. And that was the biggest thing, was somehow, some way, whether it was with my mind, knowing film, knowing where to be, right place, right time, knowing the plays, or I'm not going to get outworked. Like I'm going to look at the guy across me. I was like, might not be better than you. I might not be bigger than you. I'm going to use that again, you know, going against 23, 24-year-olds, and they're a little bit bigger and more mature than, you know, 18-year-old Jake Balliu. And it was like, I'm just going to outwork you somehow, some way. I'm going to, whether I get flattened on my back or I make the play, either way, I'm getting noticed. And I think that was the biggest thing, was I took every day as a new opportunity walking into that field, you know, stepping foot on that field. Once you cross those white lines, everything else goes out the window. I'm here for 2 hours. Everything I took in film that I watched throughout the day or this morning, you know, notebook down, was, all right, this is what I'm going to utilize. This is what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm going to make myself better and the person across me better. And that's kind of what I took into me at a young age. That clicked for me. You know, being around guys like JB and, you know, having them come back and talking to them. And so, you know, Andrew and TJ, it was guys that have been there, you know, and given their philosophy back down to me when I was still in school. Or I even came up to Winona, you know, the summer before for camp and stuff, and being able to hear those guys and their experiences. But I think the biggest thing was just somehow, some way, and whether it was in the wide receiver room or special teams. And my biggest goal was just special teams. That's the first way and the easiest way, in quotes, to make it on a team or make it on a bus or to travel with special teams. You got, you know, your juniors and seniors that are usually starters on both sides of the ball, and then special teams is up for grabs. You know, it's job takers. You know, it's who wants it more and everything like that. And I just tried to make an impact at an early age as much as I could. And luckily I did that, you know, as a punt returner and a kick returner, kind of my freshman year, just catching everything. Every time the ball was in the air, it was mine. I made that clear as day, to be able to make plays whenever I got the ball, just try to make the most of, you know, every opportunity that I had. And luckily it kind of worked out. And like I said, I was there for a minute.
I love that. If you guys notice, he keeps repeating, keeps repeating somehow, some way. I love that for a couple of reasons. One, because I love that it's like an anti-victim mantra. Like, you know, you can't make a victim out of me. I'm going to figure it out. But more than like that, that's your specific goal. I just like that you have one. Like, just think about that. Like, how many young people out there have a saying, you know, something that you can go to in your mind when you're feeling down, or to get yourself motivated, so that you're not waiting for the coach to give you some big speech or read somebody else's book, but you got your own thing that kind of gets you going, man. And that's true of both of you guys. Like I was saying at the front, like, I can't tell you how many people have come to me over the years and said, "Can you do for me what you did for Jake Balliu? Can you do for me what you did for Justin Bergeron?" I'm like, I can try, but you have to be like them. You know, you have to put that time in. You have to be that kind of self-motivated athlete. And I don't know if you guys even give yourselves as much credit as you deserve on how much you stand out for being that. Like, getting to the levels you guys got to, it's because of who you are.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So Winona, we talked about you know, so before we get into those post-graduation, you know, risks and jobs and things you're talking about, talk to us about getting that, you know, that opportunity with the Vikings. You know, you're going there at the end of your career, playing times you know, obviously slated to end. You only get 4 years NCAA. What was that like, you know, to have that opportunity, you know, looking you down at the end there?
Definitely, you know, like I said, we have goals and stuff that I've set since I was younger. You know, it's a dream of mine to try to play in the NFL, and I was going to try. You know, looking up to Wes Walker, you know, seeing the smaller guy get after it was something that, you know, motivated me to, you know, give my all every day. And you know, it was exciting, but it was also, you know, scary. I mean, it's a new opportunity stepping in front of you. You don't want to screw up. You don't want to do this. And it was a hard battle to be able to get a pro day to begin with. And luckily I was able to get that, you know, did the best that I could at my pro day to try to get an opportunity to play professionally in any level. It was exciting, you know, obviously and everything like that. And you gave it your all. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And at the end of the day, I've accepted it, which I think was, you know, life at the end of the day, and moved on from it. It was a great time in my life playing college football. I cherish it. I miss it every day. That's why I do what I do now, to be able to live that moment, live that thrill every Saturday in front of 90,000 people. There is absolutely nothing better in the world. You can't tell me different. It's worth all the hours. It's worth every minute of hard work, you know, on the field, off the field, in the office, doing whatever we got to do. And, like you said, it all works. Everything's happens for a reason. And at the end of the day, that was my reason, and how it kind of worked out. So,
yeah. So, all right. So now you get out and you're now in the professional world, but, you know, don't want to get too far away from sports. And so talk to us now about, like, so playing at the Winona level, and now being at coaching at the Division I level. One, just differences you notice. And then two, you know, how has that journey, you know, one, being done with sports and that self-identity, right? Like, that's kind of a crisis that all athletes go through. Talk to us about that transition as you're finding your place in the work world.
definitely. So I work in equipment at the University of Florida. Definitely a lot different than what I'm used to, being at a Division II school and then being at an FCS school out in New York. The facilities and the resources are absolutely unreal. What these players are accustomed to, or what they think, you know, comes naturally everywhere you go. The weight room, all brand new facilities, our nutrition stations. I mean, we're talking back to nutrition. You got every snack you want, every carb, every vitamin, every Gatorade, every water, every protein shake you can think of. Meal plans set up for these guys to be able to be properly attained and ready to go pre-practice, before practice, post-practice, day off. So they're all set in stone, you know, what they're eating, how many calories based off, you know, how much they weigh, you know, their calorie intake. It's really astonishing what the access and the resources that we do have here for these athletes to be, you know, at their 100% all the time, as well as from an athletic training standpoint and a rehab standpoint, physical therapy, from the whole, you know, the hot tub to the cold tubs to stuff that I don't even know what it does. They're just here. It's incredible. I mean, you know, saunas, just the resources that, you know, we have on a daily basis here at the University of Florida is absolutely outstanding. As well as, you know, having a turf field, which we never got at Winona State. I mean, we were practicing in negative 10-degree weather. We had practice. Like, you just 3 pairs of sweatpants, 3 hoodies. It didn't matter. And now we can, you know, just go on the indoor. So definitely just the resources, the gear, you know, the facilities, has definitely been something different that I've had to adjust to throughout my playing days, just because of the level, the money, you know, everything that kind of goes into that with the boosters, and stuff like that. From a self-identity standpoint, it's different. You know, I live through them and my relationships I have with my players and some other, you know, support staff members, because a lot of us were former players as well, that kind of lived the same story, just told a different way. But that's kind of why we all bond, and, you know, that glue we all have together, because we all do it for the love of the game and the passion. And I think that's why we work 80 to 100 hours a week during the season. It's because we love what we do. And there's no other way to put it. I mean, people think we're crazy for doing what we do, and we probably are, don't get me wrong. But to be able to run out of a tunnel in front of 90,000 people and sit on the sideline and watch, you know, these kids put all these hard work in from Monday through Friday, and, you know, because all your work for game days Monday through Friday. You don't just wake up Saturday morning and have all the keys to success. It just doesn't work that way, as we know as players and coaches. And just having those relationships and watching them do what they love makes, you know, kind of taking that step back from being a player and having someone I know did that for me. It's kind of like a, whoa, this is life. This is crazy how life kind of works out. It kind of slows everything down. And, you know, when they make a big player, a big hit, and they come up to you and, you know, they dab you up and give you a high five, and you're just like, you know, you made an impact in their life. And I think that's something that really, you know, warms my heart, because that means I'm doing a good job. That means I'm making an impact in their life in a positive way, which is, you know, fantastic, and why I do what I do. And also just for the love of the game. I love football, and it's something that I always want to be around, and I'm going to grind that out as long as I can.
I love that, man. What about so tell me about how you got it. Like, is it a network move? Is it just a grind move? Is it a take a leap and take a chance move? Like, how do you get involved with a D1 program that's as prestigious as Florida?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of all the above of what you said. Definitely have to, you know, being newer in this industry, I'm about 2 years into my professional career, from training to where I've actually physically had a job. And a little bit is just connections, and, you know, it's all about who you know nowadays. And I think the biggest thing is just keeping those relationships. You never burning a bridge, and just always checking in, connecting, because you never know who knows who from somewhere. And that's pretty much the craziest thing, kind of how I got here, with a little bit of luck and a little bit of timing. I mean, for my first job, I applied. I could show you the sheet right now. I applied to 39 jobs before I got my first job in New York. And then, you know, with just wanting new opportunities and to take that leap to another school, a new job, and everything like that, I applied to another 37 jobs, and just kind of, whether I had interviews or just connections. I mean, I have a list on my phone of everyone that I've talked to, what school they're at, what their position's at, checking in on them, because you never know when that person might vouch for you, or, you know, just that relationship and that connection down the road just might be a real huge hit. This job, I got lucky with timing. I was really close with I covered 38 sports as a director of equipment out in New York. So I knew a lot of people across all those sports and connections. And luckily enough, just having a conversation with our assistant men's hockey coach, his brother-in-law works for the Miami Dolphins, and they were going to hang out for the holidays. And he was like, hey, I can kind of, like, you know, connect you. And I was like, I'd love a conversation. If he's going to give me the time of day, I'd love to pick his brain, just, you know, advice, relationships, connections, job-related questions. Just literally, if he gave me a 10-minute phone call, I would love nothing more than that. Luckily, he'll hook that up. So then I was smart enough. I sent him my resume, so he wasn't just thinking of, like, this is just some young kid, you know, just going to waste my time. I was like, put a name to paper. And then luckily, after an hour, he wasn't supposed to call me till the weekend. And then luckily later that day, he goes, this kid he got your resume. And he was like, who is this kid? I'd like to have a conversation with him. So I shot the crap with this guy for about 2 hours. We were hitting it off. It was fantastic. And he was like, I really like you, and I want to help you out any way I can. I was like, that's fantastic. You know, I'd love to do nothing more. I'd love to have a conversation or connection with somebody else. Then he had a connection down here in Florida. And I was like, I don't think there's anything open. He goes, there's something open that's not posted. It's all word of mouth, and everything like that. Let me get you connected with the guy at the University of Florida. He called me an hour later. We hit it off too. And a week later, I was driving to Gainesville.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So it's kind of a crazy story, a little bit of luck, a little bit of timing, you know, as well as, you know, I think just putting my foot down and grinding and putting my head down, that I knew at some point, you know, somehow, somewhere, that I knew I was going to take that leap. It was just a matter of putting my head down. And when that opportunity struck, because like I said, I struck out 37 times before that, but it wasn't going to stop me. I know at some point it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. So I got kind of lucky with the opportunity that I have now. And let me tell you, I'm taking full advantage of it. It's a fantastic opportunity, and I'm forever grateful.
I love it, man. You know, I can't resist an opportunity to teach a lesson. So anytime I see something, I'm just jumping in. But like, that's the lesson there, is like, you're always interviewing. You know, like, it doesn't matter. You think you could be at the grocery store. You think you could just be saying hello to someone. You never know what opportunity they have. And so these three words that are very popular that I think JB is about to ask you about, because I want to hear you talk about it from a D1 standpoint. These three buzzwords: name, image, likeness, right? Everybody thinks about that. And they put those three together and it equals the bag, right? Like, give me some money, right? And I want you to tell me how that's going from a practical D1 standpoint. But like my old man philosophy on that is like those 3 words mean something. Like your name is the most valuable thing you have. Like your name is up on that plaque, and when people think Justin Bergeron or Jake Balliu, what do they think? Like that's the most valuable thing. Not to mention your name's attached to your credit score, which is extremely valuable, right? and then your image, right? Let's get spiritual for a second. You're made in the image of God. Like that's extremely important to understand who you are at your core. And then likeness, if you're not likable, I don't care how talented you are, you're only gonna go so far. You know,
Yeah.
but like chase the bag. I'm not telling anybody don't chase the bag. I understand, but don't forget your name's important. What you're made in God's image is important, and how likable you are will send you far in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that was something I had written down. Jake, like I think if any coach, like one or a few words they would put around your name is like, you know, your work ethic, right? And your positive energy. And so like, you know, a coach's dream. Talk to me about like how those like tangible things that us athletes can do that actually sets up, you know, your likability and, you know, ultimately leads nowadays like to the bag. So, you know, the name, image, and likeness, how can we break that down for our athletes that are now in this new era, this new opportunity where they can profit from it, but tying it into those old school mentalities where it's like, no, like your name means something, right? So, you know, talk to us about that and how you're seeing it play out in today's age.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely just a completely new age, which is with how this is, you know, a thing now, which I think is different from when we kind of played, and it really wasn't a thing. It was talked about. And not that it's changed, you know, how you play the game or how you portrayed yourself. It's just crazy to me that they can just bring in all this money off this as a, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-old man, and you're just making thousands of dollars every week with just doing what you love. It's incredible. But I think the biggest thing is like, you know, like you said, your name, like that means something. Like when people hear your name, you know, this, and this, you know, they think of that. And, you know, like your hard work, your what you bring to the table every day, you know, how you bring yourself, how you treat yourself with respect, how you treat other people with respect, how you carry yourself. You know, are you going to show up right on time every day, but forget your shoes? Are you going to show up 10 minutes early? Are you going to help that person, you know, hold the door for so-and-so? Just kind of how you carry yourself, I think kind of goes a long way with all that stuff. And then your likeness, just being a, you know, just being who you are and showing your values and what you represent. I mean, yeah, you're one person, but I bring so much more to the table than, you know, what I look like, you know, whether it's, you said being positive, my work ethic, going on my way for other people, helping anyone and any way I can help someone or make someone's day better, I will gladly do that. I just feel like I see the world in just a kind of a different way than some other people do it. And that's what kind of makes me unique and who I am. But also I love that. You know, I sit down and I'm a very observant person. I see all the little things. Like I'll pick up, I know when you're feeling down. I know when you're feeling up. But if I can help you flip that switch to motivate you to do this and that, I'll gladly do it. And that makes me feel better, but also makes me feel better knowing that you're better on top of that. So I think just being able to bring everything you have to the table in your name, image, likeness goes a long way because, yeah, you can be good at your sport, but your sport only gets you so far in life. And I think that's kind of where, if you can represent yourself, your name, your family, and who you are as a person, kind of gets you to chase the bag. Obviously, being good at your sport helps in likeness to this because people like people that score touchdowns or make the big plays and the big tackles and everything like that as well. But just being like who you represent, you know, whether it's yourself, your family, and the school, I think just plays a huge part of that.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I love that. So, going forward on that, so you're out here in Florida, right? So you're about to wrap up your first season. Talk to me about, you know, a college football system, right? Let's just throw this out there. How do you think college football, from like a playoff standpoint, is currently set up? And do you think expanding, you know, what can we be doing, or what can, you know, college sports doing? Because I think NIL is, you know, it's opening up that every school is kind of an equal playing ground. Like Coach Prime, what he's doing out there, right, with Colorado, you know, it's not just the Alabama, these big SEC schools. I think it's an equal playing field. if you can get the money right to get the kids there. So how can they now, obtain or sustain all these teams that are going to be coming in, to the spotlight versus, the 4 teams that can play?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down to money and boosters and all that stuff, because if you're bringing all these 5-star recruits in, they're coming for the facilities, they're coming for, the traditions, they're coming for the success, but also they're partially coming in because they're going to be making $90,000 a year as an 18-year-old, help set up their future, hopefully set up their future, and, not spend all the money on designer bags and clothing and chains and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, enjoy yourself a little bit, but put some money to the side there. I'm definitely open to opening up the like college football playoff. I just think it'd be more exciting to watch and how it kind of breaks down, because I think they kind of have it set where it's like the 6 Power 5 teams get in, and then the next top 6 teams get in, which I think would be exciting to see that. I just think the biggest thing that they have to worry about is just the toll on the players, because that is a lot of extra football you have to play. But it also is prepping up those students for NFL, but also like to be able to play one more game as a college football player. I'd do anything in the world for it. If I could put the pads on right now, I'd do it. Like, just that atmosphere and that, that camaraderie with the boys and everything like that. There's just nothing like it. Everyone says college flies by and college football flies by, and you don't believe them until you're done. When you go back for homecoming or everything like that, it's just a whole new, like, these people were right, type of deal. But I think definitely with just the money coming in, and like you said, with Dion, what he's doing out there is incredible. But then you even got recruits decommitting from Colorado because they're like, well, we don't think he's going to be here anymore. So, it's just a crazy business nowadays. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, but it is a business, and kind of how things operate, and people especially chase the money now, but also chase tradition and success. So I think it'll be interesting kind of how college football shifts the next few years with NIL, because I think it is still super new, and people are finding different ways to be able to give those guys money, or in regards to all that. So then it comes down to, these recruits and these, 4-star, 5-star players, where are they going somewhere because they get the most money? Are they going somewhere to set themselves up for a great, college degree? Are they setting themselves up for winning a championship? So it's kind of interesting to see the different morals that these athletes will coming into college, because there's so many different, there's only so many schools, I think, that you can get, all 3 of the things that I named, in my opinion, right off the bat. So it's curious to see how what schools, might be uprising, or what schools may be downrising or decompressing in these next few years just because of NIL.
Yeah, and I don't know if AGB has made an official statement on it, but I just want you, I love it. I think it's long overdue. I think that money was floating around somewhere. It was heading its way, to owners. It was heading its way to the NCAA. It was going somewhere, and it was not going to the players out in the open. So then you had all kind of things happening in some of the big major programs to make sure this money got to the top 100. That's been happening since the beginning of time. So I like anything that's transparent. Like transparency is key for me. Just let's be honest. Let's talk about what it is. There's money out there. Let's give it to the athletes, because we are benefiting from their play. But like anything in the world, there's a drawback to it. If you've got people that are getting that kind of money and they're not getting the education and the discipline and the stewardship that goes along with it, it could potentially be dangerous. But I don't think it's fair for us to make rules to cater to the worst of us. I think we should make the rules to cater to the best of us, and the best of us just want to play the game, get a degree, and then have a share of what I contribute to the university.
Right, that's one like that. 100%. So I mean, I think too, I know you kind of said a little, Jake, like I think sports is more aligned with business than maybe people like to think, and I think this truly brings the light on it. And it too, just like living in a capitalist society, like life in itself, living in America is a business. And I think if you can be aware of it and know there are the pros and cons, I think we can all navigate it better as we go forward. So I'm excited that we are on the cusp because it is brand new, and it's going to be exciting to see what it turns into over the next 10 years. But I think ultimately it is going to bring a lot of change. But no matter what's going to change, I think at its core, this is the reason AGB is here, right? There is a mentality and mindset that doesn't matter what colors you're wearing, doesn't matter what school you're playing for, what sport you're playing for. There's a certain mentality that's going to help you compete and be the best versions possible. So, Jake, we were talking a little bit off screen here. Kind of one of the last questions we want to ask you is on this AGB roadmap, right? We're out here helping teach your way to confidence, right? Through AGB's 5 C's, what are ways that you have applied those 5 C's? Working with Coach Rick at a young age, and throughout your years, Lakes, Winona, and beyond.
Definitely. I think just the biggest thing is just, like you said, coming every day to practice or a game or, just bringing that mindset with you. Because, I did care. I wouldn't be there if I didn't care. I wouldn't show up if I didn't care. Whether it was, at the time, my mom dropping me off or me driving, getting my license or driving with a buddy. Like, somehow, some way I was getting there. I wanted to get better. I wanted to, perform my craft and, mold my craft and be a sponge and learn from Rick and what he's brought to the table, and other assistants and, what I could do to get better because I only knew it was going to benefit me down the road. But I also feel like playing AAU basketball and then playing at a young age, with the OG team being like the youngest guy on the team wearing, double XL shorts and jerseys because we didn't have something that small.
Just need a body.
That's literally what it was. That's literally what it was. I was
quadruple
wrapping my shorts so they fit, running 3-point line to 3-point line because I was and I did think it brought up my confidence enough because I was playing with the bigger dogs and I, had to push myself. I'm supposed to screw up, and I think that's kind of where I accepted that, where I was like, okay, hey, I know this, if this pass isn't going to work against them, am I working against kids my age? But like, that also kind of helped shift me to make me the ball player that I was, is because I was learning from you guys and what you guys brought to the table every day, whether it was physically or, mentally, where I was just seeing the game a different way. And it, you never let me get down, but also it helped me with my confidence, because if I could hang with you guys, then I knew I could hang with guys my age when the time came around for, college or high school ball and everything like that.
Facts. Oh, man. All right. So one final question we try to hit all our guests with at the end is one of the missions here at AGB is to normalize insecurities, right? When you get hungry, right, what do? You eat, right? When you're tired, what do? You go to sleep. When someone strikes your insecurities, we have these walls of defense we put up. I get defensive when my insecurities get striked. What insecurities, Jake, do you kind of work through today? Being a postgraduate, right? No matter who's looking at you, you're always older to someone and younger to someone as well. How are insecurities playing a role in your life today? And what are you doing, to get better at those?
I think a big thing for me is I journal. I think I'm an overthinker to this day with everything that I do in life, whether it's how I look, how I act, how I do something, whether I do something the right way, do something the wrong way. A big thing that I do, and that was kind of my New Year's resolution this year, was to journal every day. The impact that I had on somebody else, what I took away from the day, what I thought about this, what I thought about that, was something that really helps me decompress. So I try to do that every night, and I have a folder, an Excel sheet on my laptop, which I think helped me decompress to say, okay, hey, then tomorrow I won't do it this way. And I think the biggest thing too with that is being a sponge. And I think that's something that I brought to my professional career that I was taught, was to be a sponge in regards to listening to what everybody else has to say and like taking a step back, because not everything I do is the right way. I know that for a fact. I'll be the first one to admit when I'm wrong, because I know I'm not. And just being able to learn and step back and learn something that you can take to add to your bag, because one day you can use that and give that to somebody else, or one day that might be useful for you to hold on to and then you use it down the road. I think is kind of a big thing as well. Trying to think what else here off the top of my head for insecurity wise that I kind of go through off the top of my head.
So there's 4 walls we talk about. So defensive, right? Arrogance, shaming, and then what's the fourth one? Cruelty. Is there Any of those ones that you lean?
I think shaming's a big one for me. Now that you kind of mentioned that, it's just kind of more of, I mean, like I said, we work out, we eat right. We talked about nutrition earlier. We talk about weight training. We talk about being an athlete, and you do it a certain way in high school. You do it a certain way in college. You know, that's for me. That was 10 years of my life. You know, a little longer than most, but it's all I know. Like I have to work out every day. I have to eat well. Like I see that as something that's kind of more of my important day. Like I get down on myself if I don't have the time to work out. Like you said, I try to find somehow, some way, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's just kind of part of life, you know, with your schedule and work and everything like that. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is my insecurity and my shame is like I get down on myself when I, you know, don't get that workout in, because to me that's all I've known for the last 10 years. It's a part of me. It's who I am. Like I feel like I need to do that just because to make myself feel better, to make myself feel happy, to make myself feel like I'm still in that college shape, you know, in regards to kind of that lifestyle is the biggest thing, as well as just kind of echoing with my nutrition. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all get a cheat meal here and there, but I think I eat the best that I've ever eaten in my life has been post college, whether it's, you know, like I said, going back to journaling like that. Like I challenge myself to learn one new recipe once a month to try to add to my bag of what I could do, just because to switch it up, because I don't want to have that look in the mirror every day and be like, wow, you know, I don't like what I'm seeing in the mirror, where it's like I'm still also just trying to push myself to be the best version that I can be every day. And I think that's something what I take with me, which is that mama mentality. I mean, I have an underdog mentality bracelet I've had on every day since sophomore year of college. Like I mean, if it rips, I buy a new one. It's something that I look down every day, and it's like, know your purpose, know why you're here, in regards to all that as well. I think, you know, kind of defensively, I just kind of come to a point where, you know, you accept certain things about yourself, and you just kind of, you know, work your way around that and how you attack that. Because, you know, if I'm not good at something or something like that, like I find a way how I can get better at it. Like I'm not going to shy away from a challenge, I guess is the biggest way I want to put it. So like from a defensive standpoint, and what, you know, in regards to what you're talking about, it's something that I enjoy, which not many people like. I'd rather go after it. You know, I'll be the first person to ask a question, or like if I don't know how to do something, I'll be the first one to ask. Like, show me one time and I'll do it. Like I just need a little bit of help, and I think that's something that, you know, just who I am. So that's not something I really worry about in regards to that, because I'll be the first one to attack it. And I think that kind of goes back to I'm being a righty, but man, I'll dribble the basketball with my left hand all day. I'd rather you push me left than go right. It's just something that I'm not right in the head about in regards to that. So it's just who I am, and I love it.
I love it, man. I love it. And you just hear it. You can hear it when both you guys talk. You can just hear it, man. There's so much of, you know, we're kindred spirits, you know, that's what it comes down to. We're all kind of wired the same way. It's like a progressive mindset. You know, we just want to get better. Like we're proud of who we are. We're proud of what we've done, but what's next? What else can I do? And what can I learn? And then this is the most beautiful part of it all. Then how can I use that to impact someone else? That's the beauty of it. And that's what we're trying to teach and spread out over the world. So JB, man, I love you, bro. I'm proud of you. Thank you for coming back and adding some content, helping us build this thing, man. And, you know, we go live on Sundays with the people that are in, and you are welcome to that anytime, man. It'd be great, I think, for these young athletes to see, to hear from you. I think it'd be great for some of our young aspiring coaches to have you, you know, speak into their lives and be a part of our discussion. So anything AGB, man, you're welcome to your family forever.
Definitely appreciate you guys having me. Love you both, and whatever I can do to help, I'd love to hop on one of those clinics for 100%.
Oh, man. Yeah, sir. Love you, bro. Be a sponge out there, folks. Somehow, some way.
Somehow,
JB,
some way.
Come on. Let's go. Thanks for being on the show.